Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Wyatt Claypool Show, where we try and cope and laugh at just how crazy Canadian politics are these days. And things are getting really bad for the Prime Minister when Justin Trudeau and the Liberal Party, for some reason, can't stop attacking their opponent, Donald Trump. Because for some reason, the Liberals think that they are running against Donald Trump. I don't know why. I guess it's because they know they're so unpopular, they have to run against somebody that everyone in Canada basically hates, that's not even in the same country, for the Liberals to seem somewhat credible. And really, all this is going to do is probably make Donald Trump far more popular because everyone actually viscerally hates Justin Trudeau in this country. People kind of hate Donald Trump in more of the Americans, like American leftists I watch on YouTube and on late night, don't like him, so I don't like him too. All this is going to do is make Trump more popular because people actually hate like Justin Trudeau. And really, what this all is about is trying to go after Pierre Poilievre by saying that he's like Canada's Trump, when he's just obviously not. There's not even really any Republican in the United States who's a lot like Trump because Trump is very much a character. There's a few political characters all around North America and the West in general that nobody is like. Like if you're looking for a great example, go to the UK. He's actually a socialist. That's someone on the left. George Galloway is a quintessential political character. And trying to compare Pierre Poilievre to Donald Trump, a lot of people like Pierre Poilievre. I like Pierre Poilievre. But I don't see him as like this Trump populist type figure. He's very much a defined ideological orthodox conservative, where Donald Trump more has his kind of own eclectic brand of different like beliefs and views. And I'm going to play this little clip of what the Liberals are posting about Trump these days because it makes utterly no sense for the situation that we're currently in. Basically, I'm not sure if you guys know this, but Pierre Poilievre uses words in the English language. And here's the dirty secret. Sometimes Donald Trump also uses words from the English language. And so that means that these two men are the same when Justin Trudeau and others have also used the exact same words, yet they're not comparing themselves here. Here's the thing, too. You can't just say that somebody is Trump and say that that's somehow bad. Name the Trump policy, explain why it's bad, or the Trump behavior, explain why it's bad, and then show Poilievre doing the same thing. The problem is that the Liberals have such crazy policies these days. To criticize a Trump policy would just make people think, well, that's way better than what you guys are doing. So they can't criticize Trump because Trump's probably would do a far, far better job than Justin Trudeau would ever do. But here is the Twitter post that the Liberals made yesterday that they got absolutely mocked for.
They've gone wacko.
Wacko.
This wacko.
A total wacko.
One wacko.
Wacko. These socialist wackos. He's a wacko. Wacko.
I like how they are playing this with the Toronto Star headline there. Pierre Poilievre ejected from House of Commons after calling Justin Trudeau a wacko. This feels like something that the Conservative Party itself would post because it's playing funny clips of Trump saying wacko in regards to Justin Trudeau. Like the replies under that post, I can assure you, were not liberal people saying Pierre Poilievre's so awful. I can't believe he said wacko. Obviously, there are all of these liberal journalists, leftist activists all over Twitter acting like Pierre Poilievre is destroying democracy by saying words in the House of Commons that we disagree with. But in a similar vein to that, I just thought of this. I actually wasn't going to bring this up earlier, but the Liberals are now celebrating World Press Freedom Day. Oh, yes, World Press Freedom Day. You know, press freedom, that thing that the Liberals absolutely love. So here's what Justin Trudeau posted. Oh, this is the French version. I'm sorry, but this is what Justin Trudeau posted here, and I don't even know why he bothers. You might as well, if you're a staff or working in Justin Trudeau's comms department, you're doing such a disfavor by even letting him post this, because all it does is brings attention to the fact that he doesn't respect the press. Or I guess he does in his own strange world where being friendly to the CBC and giving out massive media subsidies to outlets that are friendly to you means that you are in favor of press freedom. That's the thing. a lot of people like to monkey around with words and definitions and terminology. So the Liberals don't have to respect Rebel News or True North or the National Telegraph or other independent media, because that's not accredited journalism. That's not the official press. That's what Jagmeet Singh and Justin Trudeau did whenever Rebel News started asking them questions in the debates. They always come up with some excuse that I don't talk to fake news or you're not the real press. Yeah, and yet it's bad for Pierre Poilievre to call out the CBC for smearing him, who are journalists who are paid by the government to do it. They're not real journalists, because you can't fairly report on what the government's doing, while you know that if you criticize them too much, there could always be no, increase in the subsidy this year, or might even decrease. You're not really the free press. It's not that I don't respect them as journalists or people like, oh, they should never get one of their questions answered. I think you should still answer CBC questions or global questions if they're at least somewhat fair. But in the long run, having a subsidized media, well, it does a few things here. One, you have a very biased press who is very nervous to criticize any party who actually is in favor of giving them more subsidies or maintaining them. And then the other thing is that they box out other media, other independent media, because even if nobody really watches or reads the CBC, with $1.4 billion of taxpayer money, plus all the ads revenue that they end up getting from, because it's hard to spend that much money distributing articles and not get at least some advertiser money. The thing is that they eventually end up just sort of squashing or bloating the media. So if I write an article on a subject and I do a really thorough job, I investigate, I email the right people, I reach out, I ask tough questions, my article is still always going to be 10th or 20th on the Google News list, because the CBC, CTV, Global, and all of their local affiliates republish basically the same article. Sometimes it's literally just the same Canadian press article that they all purchased, I guess. They all basically syndicated the same article. And so CBC and CBC Calgary and CBC Montreal and CTV News and CTV Calgary and CTV Edmonton and all the same publications, and sometimes, again, like the literal same publications and its local affiliates, are putting out the same article. And so my actual good article is at the bottom of the list. That happened all the time. It was super depressing to work in independent written media. I'm still going to go back and start writing articles again, but I did that for like 3.5 years. It's not like I tipped my toe in and then, I failed and I'm not very good at this, I'm going to do video. We've had articles that had 90,000, 130,000 views. That we had big articles. We had articles that helped get corrupt government officials like Dr. Vernieu at the top of AHS fired from her job. I wrote an entire series exposing her mishandling ICU beds, as well as basically trying to fire all unvaccinated employees for AHS. It was nuts. That was good journalism. We did good investigative work. David Dixon, the guy who was a cybersecurity expert working with me, gave me really good data. He was really on top of whenever AHS would adjust their ICU bed occupancy rates from a couple weeks ago. So on dates where they said we were at 90% capacity during COVID, we were actually only at maybe 82, 78%. But the panic allowed the government to be able to lock everyone down. It's not even because that was what they were motivated to do. They were just bad at their jobs, which made them feel like we were always in a massive panic, when if they actually were doing their jobs properly, they would realize that the crisis wasn't there. But I've done good work. And the thing is, whenever you read CBC articles, you just get the idea that this person doesn't actually know what's going on. They reprint a press release from a government official. They grab a couple of experts to basically fill in a couple of blanks in the article, make it go to at least 400 words, and that's pretty much it. Their articles are contentless. There's like nothing in their articles. But now I want to cut over to the Liberals trying to criticize Pierre Poilievre and World Press Freedom Day, because yes, Pierre Poilievre is a threat to the media because he will talk to any media outlet, but he will sometimes call people out for taking money. So this is a video that is supposed to make us feel super scared of Pierre Poilievre and feel like he's a threat to our democracy.
We have basically a liberal heckler who snuck in here today.
CBC, frankly, is a biased propaganda arm of the Liberal Party.
The media that is bought and paid for, it sounds like it's just a CBC smear job. CP should stop acting as the communications arm of the PMO. I just hope you're not going to print something that you have to apologize for again.
What are you talking about? What page? What page? Can you give me a page? Give me the page.
Bought and paid for Ottawa Press Gallery, spreading disinformation on this subject with the help of the media.
Your question was typical of CBC, biased again. I know you want to change the
No,
subject
I want to ask
because
a
you don't want to
question.
talk
I wanna
about
ask a
Trudeau's
question.
carbon tax. You
I
don't.
want to ask a question because in a democracy,
Sorry.
we ask the question.
Will you dismantle Pharmacare?
Thank you very much.
Will you dismantle Pharmacare if you are? Will you not answer more of our questions?
They just make Pierre Poilievre look good. Like, again, I'm not sure if that was supposed to. That was that a Conservative Party of Canada video that the Liberals somehow stole and reposted, because that makes Pierre Poilievre look great. Because every single Canadian who pays even a modicum of attention to the news knows all these clips. These clips are famous because these journalists were not asking Pierre Poilievre a question, even at that last clip where they're saying, will you dismantle Pharmacare? Will you dismantle Pharmacare? It was like this gaggle of like 12 different journalists just all screaming a question. Even if he wanted to answer, they were all too busy yelling over each other for him to even do anything. And the whole point is that Poilievre was going after the fact that this Pharmacare program is completely broken, it's bloated. It's kind of question answered. Obviously, he does not support Pharmacare, but what the media wants is that they want to run headlines saying Poilievre opposes this, Poilievre wants to cut this, rather than this program is terrible, it doesn't work, and it costs us $5 billion. And then if the average person was just given that information, they'd be like, well, I hope Poilievre cuts it. But the media doesn't want to cover it from that angle. They want to cover the story that Poilievre, big bad man who used to wear glasses and now doesn't wear glasses, is now trying to take away your healthcare. Even though, if you actually explain to people the way the program works, you would not actually think you're getting any healthcare whatsoever. You're basically just getting like a stipend from the government. It's an IOU card saying I owe you healthcare. You can't redeem it anywhere because no dentist, no physician, no pharmacist is stupid enough to just give you things under cost. So very few of them have signed up for these programs because they're just a waste of time. It's basically trying to get dentists to work for minimum wage because the reimbursement rates are horrible. So when you pay for all the costs of your office, your staff members, your secretary, your bookkeeper, and all this other stuff, yeah, it's not worth it because the government's giving people like a couple $100s to clean somebody's teeth or to like repair a cavity and all this stuff. It's a worthless program. Yes, some people would get care. I saw today Katie Telford, the chief of staff to Justin Trudeau, like showing one of her friends, oh, my 93-year-old grandfather, or I believe father, he had an impacted tooth or something like that. I don't think it was that. I think impacted tooth are like wisdom teeth, which you're not having out at 93. But anyways, he got emergency dental care and it was great. And the government paid for it. I'm like, okay, wow, anecdote? Wow, that's a great anecdote. I have another anecdote. Only 0.01% of dentists in New Brunswick, or I think it was 0.1% of dentists in New Brunswick and the Maritimes in general. I think the only place that was left out was PEI. Basically, the entire Maritimes. No dentists signed up for this program because it's worthless. So yes, that's a cool anecdote, Katie, but it doesn't mean the program works. If we based what of a program's performance off of anecdotes, there's no government program that was bad at all. Frankly, Stalin's 5-year plans were amazing because there were some great anecdotes that came out of it of people who got a little bit of extra bread, people who got jobs by the Soviet government, even though we ended up killing hundreds of thousands of people and whatnot and crushing their freedoms. But anyways, I want to move on to this other thing. I have to just quickly bring it out of my bookmarks on X. But there's this absurd thing going on right now. I'm not going to talk about it very long. But the boycott of Loblaws that some people are pushing forward, that we all have to get out there and start boycotting this company because supposedly Loblaws is price gouging. And no doubt all of you and I at every grocery store have seen prices go up. I'm going to tell you something that will make socialists very mad. That's not the grocery stores raising prices. It is just purely inflation going up. Nobody has actually arbitrarily raised prices. But this entire boycott Loblaws movement that Jagmeet Singh and all the labor unions and other sort of NDP liberal front groups are backing, it's purely an attempt to scapegoat grocery stores and just business in general, capitalism, for prices going up. It's not Jagmeet and Justin Trudeau printing 40% of all the dollars in the economy during COVID. The amount of money that they printed and spent and taxes that were raised was insane. Are we supposed to pretend that that didn't contribute to prices going up? And even outside of just government action, there's also other issues around the world around supply chains, the war in Ukraine and whatnot, that also contribute to prices going up. So this entire Loblaws boycott, one, it's the greatest handout to every grocery store ever, because there's now thousands of idiots going around willing to purchase grocery stores as long as it's not Loblaws, which means that the demand on those grocery stores' supply is going to increase, and those grocery stores will naturally increase prices because they have way more customers, and people have just like thrown up their hand and said, I will artificially purchase all my groceries from you simply because you're not Loblaws. Not because you have good prices, it's just that you are not Loblaws. So this has been an incredibly embarrassing attempt in order to try and pretend that it is capitalism's fault for the actual issues and excesses of the government of Canada. But now I want to jump over to something else, because it actually is it's actually related to the National Telegraph, because our favorite co-host of the National Telegraph, Daniel Boardman, went out into the U of T campus to go and try and talk to some of these protesters, mimicking the crazy pro-Hamas students and other activists, rent-a-mob types, taking over college campuses all over the United States, and now we have Canadian students trying to do the same thing. And if you've been following these kind of stories at all, you'll already know that most of these people who are blocking university campuses do not go to these schools. They are not students at U of T. They're not students at McGill. They are simply there to promote the leftist narrative that we must unify around Hamas and we must make the intifada worldwide. And these people are not Islamists because they're all a bunch of stupid students. They're socialists trying to use the plight of the people of Gaza who are under the basically being held hostage by Hamas in order to push their own demands that the West should collapse. Because terrorists in Gaza run Gaza badly and have picked a fight with Israel, that means for some reason we need socialism in Canada. These people are utterly foolish, but just check this out. Them preventing our Jewish co-host, Daniel Boardman, from entering the U of T campus.
Why can't I come in? Can I come in? Can I come in?
You cannot.
No.
Thank you.
Why can't I come
We're
in?
not allowing media in at the moment. Thank you so much.
But
We're
why
not
aren't you?
allowing media in at the moment. Thank
Who
you so
are
much.
who are you to not allow
We're not
media?
allowing media in at the moment.
You're the
Thank you
ones
so much.
organizing.
Okay, and on what authority do you have?
Thanks, y'all. Sorry.
What authority do you have to
We're
start
not
blocking a
allowing
Any
public
more
at the moment,
information
thank
can be
you so
found on
much.
social media.
We're
Okay,
not
on
allowing
social media.
media
Who's
in at
social
the
media?
moment. Thank you so
Who's
much.
social media?
Social media.
Who's your social media?
We're not allowing media in at the moment. Thank you so much.
Why? I mean,
We're not allowing media in at the moment.
what if I'm just a civilian?
We don't allow civilians in that are disrespectful.
What's disrespectful about
What
me?
you're doing right now.
How, you're on a public property. You're on public property. You're making a stand, and then people filming you is disrespectful. You yelled at me first.
How are you? You're not going to be coming in today. I understand that you want to go in, but you are doxing people, and that's inappropriate. So you are going to have to wait out here, and we're not allowing media in, whether it's you or anyone else.
What
So
how am I doxing people?
We are not allowing media in.
I don't think you need to see any more of that, but the absolute entitlement oozing off of these people. Like, I bet she's probably a student at this university. She reminds me of so many people when I used to sit on an academic advisory board at MRU for the student union. I was actually on the general faculty council, so I have a lot of insights for what professors actually talk about behind the scenes when they're in their sort of little political committees. They're very, very out of touch with the average person. But the entitlement of saying, you're not allowed in today, we're too busy taking dumps in the park in buckets, and we're fighting the good fight here by taking over a campus and yelling at Jewish people. So you're not allowed in because you're being rude and you're doxing me. What? You're wearing a mask and you're in public. I'm not unless the girl, and I just missed it there, had her home address tattooed on her forehead. I don't think Daniel's actually doxing them. And really, they probably just know that Daniel is Jewish, and they wouldn't let him in because he was Jewish. And really, they were considering rude, that he was being rude, was just that he's not a far leftist. That's the thing, is that you should never give in to any of these people. If this is something that comes out of James Lindsay's kind of teachings that he does, and I think he's 100% on side. And it's a little bit different from what's going on right here, although he didn't make a great little video where he does these little bullet point videos on explaining Marxist concepts so you can fight back on them. That this entire campus takeover, before I get to my other point, this entire campus takeover that happened all over the United States and now it's coming to Canada is what you would call planned spontaneity. That we are pretending that this is just a movement of the students who came out of nowhere, and it's because they're just so fired up about Gaza and whatnot, when this is happening literally 6-7 months after the war in Gaza started. Now suddenly they're showing up on campuses and all purchasing the exact same tents to occupy the land and dumping in buckets and stuff like that. These people this is entirely planned. You know it's planned. I think the UCLA one was the best, or Columbia University. They had an overhead drone shot of the encampments, and every single one of them had the cheapest Walmart tent that you could buy, and it was all the exact same color. Because if you were assuming this was spontaneous, it would be everyone sleeping out in every sort of different type of neon colored and plaid tents and gray tents and whatnot. No, it's all the exact same tents, because it's a rent-a-mob who ended up purchasing all these resources from people in order to create a fake kerfuffle, so that the general public thinks, wow, there's a lot of tension on this issue. There must be something going on. There's nothing going on. It's the same paid protesters going around the country to these different protests to make noise. This is exactly what Dina Sharif is. If everyone knows who Dina Sharif is, just got denied bail because she is a actual thug going around hitting people, using noise makers in people's ears and whatnot. And she will come out and blow on her air horn and yell into an amplifier about literally anything. There's a reason why somehow she was protesting trans rights, and then she was protesting in favor of Hamas, who would kill every single trans person that they see. These people just protest left-wing things because the point is not the causes that they attach themselves to, it's to leftism. There's a reason why in the Red Guard in China, after Mao had basically retaken over the Communist Party of China in the 60s, basically had all the Red Guard either shipped out to the countries to act as slaves, or killed, or imprisoned, or whatever else, or put into camps. Once they use these people up, they will also be turfed away. But I was going to say, too, whenever these people come at you and they start accusing you that you're bigoted, you're racist, you're a whatever, unless they literally have extremely good evidence, like there are actually some racist and white supremacist type people that exist, because of course there are, just because it's a rarity doesn't mean it doesn't exist. But if they're ever going at somebody, and this is what happens all the time in party politics, especially under weak leaders like Aaron O'Toole, is that when a conservative gets attacked, what you'll have happen so often is all the other people clam up. And they're like, well, you're being attacked by a lot of people, and there's a lot of news outlets accusing you of bigotry, so I'm just going to assume that there might be something to this, or I'm going to ask you to apologize, or I'm going to ask you to basically maybe, oh, can you please just turn off your Twitter account, or stop fighting back, or if someone's being struggled against by these left-wing lunatics, this person is being attacked by hundreds to thousands of people, both in real life and online. Never ask them to stand down. Yes, maybe guide them on better ways of being able to mediate the situation, but never imply that they've done anything wrong, and never make them apologize. Anyway, sorry, but that's a little bit of that situation. Maybe I'll find another video from Daniel, because there was this other funny situation where these supposedly very tolerant people started surrounding Jewish students and Jewish people who were counter-protesting and yelling at them, even though they weren't even saying anything. So check this out. This is the tolerant left. So yeah, and this is why normal people need to rise up. And when I say that, I mean the most casual sense, that normal people need to exert themselves and actually show that they are not going to be bullied by these activist thugs anymore. Vote for the people who will go after the activist thugs, crack down on them. Every single one of these people, within hours of trying to occupy these campuses, should have been arrested. That's what happened in certain red states in the United States, Texas, Georgia, those sort of places where the police immediately showed up and whisked people away into the back of trucks, because you're not allowed to take over public spaces and then start harassing people. And these people, and you know that they're just left-wing supremacists. As much as they'll say we're going after the white heterosexual patriarchy, they don't care about those categories at all. They're just leftist. That's why when there was a black man, there's a few black men who went to the UCLA campus to basically confront these people. And when I say confront, I just mean ask them questions, walk around campus, minding their own business, even just seeing what little they could do that would set them off. They started attacking them. They started attacking them as like race traitors, and they're not actually black because they won't, urinate in buckets on the UCLA campus and stand up for Hamas. These people are all jokes. But now another story I want to get to, because it just came up and it's very, very silly, is the Canadian Armed Forces has changed its logo. And in the comments below, tell me what you think that this logo looks like, because that's what I've been seeing people do on X all day long, trying to describe what this thing possibly could look like to you. So this is the new Canadian Armed Forces logo, in which it looks like the video game company from the 1970s and early 80s, Atari, has taken over the country. The Atari has actually infected Canada, and now our country is just this little ball of pixels right here. And then other people said it looked, like various vulgar things involving moose and other animals. I don't really know what this is supposed to look like. I kind of see the moose on the left, and the whole thing just looks odd. Goodness. We don't even have ammunition for our weapons in Canada. We don't even have basically a navy. I don't think we even have any tanks anymore. We're the second biggest country on the planet. I know that's just landmass, but you think we would have some armed forces. The funny thing is, in Canada, our armed forces are actually, we have more spending on military than we ever have before, not just in raw number of dollars, but in the percentage of our government budget. It's actually been going up. But like with so many other things, when the left gets a hold of it, the spending might go up, but the actual spending doesn't go towards the thing that the public expects. It goes to HR, consultants, administrators, and people sitting around rooms redesigning logos like this. Do you think that this probably cost under $1 million to remake? I doubt it. We just saw in Calgary, we had our literal slogan of the city change, which requires no rebranding. It just requires the 3 words to be put under every new City of Calgary sign. And so we paid $4.8 million to change the slogan from Be Part of the Energy to Blue Sky City, which is so horrifyingly generic. I think the only 3 cities that name can't apply to is Vancouver, Seattle, and London, England. It is, every city is a blue sky city. Maybe like LA and San Francisco in the 70s, you couldn't call them blue sky cities because of all the smog. But overall, I'm pretty sure these days that Blue Sky City doesn't make everyone around the world immediately think, oh, Calgary, that must be Calgary. Be Part of the Energy at least was sort of half mentioning the energy industry. I'll admit, though, I didn't even like that one. It sounds like I'm about to get a degree from a community college. Be Part of the Energy sounds like You Belong Here from Mount Royal, where I took my bachelor's. Whatever. City slogans and all this branding is just kind of a big waste of time. In my mind, it's just an excuse to be able to give handouts to your friends who happen to work in the city government, that you can hire a bunch of consulting friends so that they can be buried off in some office doing focus groups and talking to people about what 3 words do you think really represent the city the best. Well, I think that when I think of Calgary, I think of a blue sky and a city. Well, you could call it Blue Sky City. Oh, wow, that's crazy. Well, but that only cost us $10 to come up with. We've been only sitting here for 2 minutes. Oh, well, we could hire 50 more consultants and do 60 focus groups and polls to see if people also think this is the most boring slogan on the planet. Even when they rolled it out, I remember that I saw a photo from the meeting, and it was just like this older guy and this older lady who work for Calgary Economic Development, and they're just standing in front of this generic PowerPoint slide where it was just generic blue background with white text that said Blue Sky City. Guys, apparently none of the money went into the PowerPoint presentation for this unveiling meeting. But, that's just how government works. You end up creating a bunch of work so you can give jobs to your friends, and those friends will donate to your party or donate to your campaign. They'll campaign for you, and then they end up voting for you as well because you're employing them. This has been the big thing with Justin Trudeau. I think since Harper left office, we've increased the amount of government employees by 100,000 on the federal level. And I believe that's not even counting Canada Post workers or Crown corporations. That's purely the federal government directly itself. There's 100,000 new employees, and all of them are voting Liberal. And when you know how few people actually vote in a Liberal or in a Canadian federal election, 100,000 votes, if you assume the vast majority of those people will vote Liberal, is a pretty massive amount of people. Because I think the Liberals in 2015, and this is their high watermark result, was 6.5, 6.8 million people voted for them. So that's nothing to sneeze at, that you just secured 100,000 new voters, plus the programs that you then roll out that certain people feel like they need to rely on, even though all the spending just creates so much inflation that's the real reason that they need the program, is because the government has inflated the currency so much. then those people will vote for you too. Like, there is a lot of votes in buying votes with big programs, with hiring people, with getting consultants on board, giving money to left-wing organizations that will then recruit campaign workers for left-wing causes and movements. And I guarantee a lot of the Liberals' money has eventually ended up in the pockets and bank accounts of those organizations who plan spontaneous protests all over the United States and Canada. A lot of these organizations get money. We have flat-out pro-Sharia law groups in Canada that got government money. But the Christian pro-life camps have to be defunded. They can't get any Canadian summer internship dollars or any sort of summer camp dollars because they happen to believe that like life has value or something like that. So that's really awful, I suppose. Anyways, but that's kind of it for me. I'll kind of wrap up by just talking a little bit about my race in Calgary Signal Hill here. So as you guys know, I, Wyatt Claypool, am running for the riding of Calgary Signal Hill for the Conservative Party nomination. It's on the west side of Calgary. So going from the downtown core, it's basically if you go straight west, that's where the riding is. If you live in this riding, obviously buy membership for the Conservatives federally. Check out my website, wyattclaypool.com. But it's baffling just how sort of I would find lacking some of the conservatism is in a riding that should have very stalwart Conservatives running for the nominations. There's a few good people I'm running against where if they beat me, I'd be like, fair enough, it's a Conservative guy who ended up beating me. But then there's like some other people who they've made a lot of their political hay and clout simply from just networking all their lives when they actually don't have any beliefs about anything. Like when right after Gondek basically calls the UCP base a bunch of bigots for being in favor of parental rights, and then one of my opponents, Jeremy Nixon, literally takes a photo with her at an event 2 days later. I feel like you're lacking in conservative instincts and love for your own voters, that 2 days after she mocks the same people that you relied on for votes in the last provincial election when you lost your race, that you're willing to take a photo with her. Stop, and this is just a piece of advice. I don't blame Eric Bouchard, who's on the left side of the photo there. He's very new to politics, and I would say he's a very genuinely friendly guy, and I think he's just saying, oh, the mayor's here, I'll be nice to her. But like Jeremy knows better. He's been in politics for over 14, 15 years. He knows exactly what he's doing by taking a photo with Gondek. He's going to these networking events, sort of, carousing with the centrist and center left voters, try and get them to purchase memberships. And all these people, they basically just try and get into office simply because they like being in office. Everything is network, and that's always the most toxic thing about internal party politics. So much of it is networking. I have another guy who's running, who's basically just the friend of the former MP, Ron Liepert, or the current MP. Like his campaign team literally has people who go to drag queen fundraisers, and that's like something that they do in their life. And they're like managers and like campaign chairs for other people's like nomination campaigns. It's ridiculous. And so all these people literally have labeled me in the riding the fringe guy, not the party itself. Just some of these other people's campaigns have been going around saying I'm the fringe guy because I'm in favor of parental rights. Yes, I am now fringe because I believe that parents should be given notification and consent for certain things that their kids are doing, both in the classroom as well as in doctors' offices. I don't know what to say about that. But anyway, so if you guys live in this riding, or if you know anybody in my riding, reach out to them and ask them if they can vote for me, buy a membership, because I guarantee with the thousands of people who watch each episode of the show, you guys probably collectively know hundreds of people in the riding and haven't just thought about it yet. Anyways, and then also I have the legal fundraiser for the National Telegraph linked in the description below if you want to contribute anything to that. It really helps us out. It's the Give, Send, Go link in the description. And then the National Telegraph's Telegram channel, rightfully so, the Telegraph's Telegram channel, is also linked in the description below. I always try and post every new episode of the show and any article that one of our writers puts out or any other YouTube show that they're associated with. I try and link all that stuff to the Telegram so you kind of see it all coming out in order. Sometimes YouTube doesn't show you every time we make a new piece of content. So this is a great way of being able to see the stuff right as it comes out and not having to wait for YouTube to recommend it. I'm like an old man. So every time I go onto YouTube, I just go to my subscriptions and scroll through them. But I know a lot of people rely on notifications and recommendations. So like, yes, hit the notification bell, but you should get used to hitting subscriptions and then just seeing if there's anything new from any website. Because I guess people don't do that. And that's how so many people miss stuff that the algorithm doesn't distribute. But anyways, that should be it for me today, guys. Thanks for tuning into the second episode of the Wyatt Claypool Show. Hopefully you like this format, And as always, comment in the description below if there's any issues you want me to cover, anything you think I missed, and I will be glad to potentially mention it or talk about it on the next episode. Oh, also, I want to give a shout out to Clinton Moss. He contributed to the TNT legal fund, gave us $500. That was amazing, Clinton. That's been extremely helpful for us. I know that you sympathize with the legal issue because you've seen similar things happen. And that definitely did help us since we just got hit with another $3,000 legal bill we had to pay for. But other than that, have a great one, everyone.